HK45. It's my first copy of the HK45. I haven't shot it yet. I've had it for about a week, so it's definitely been burning a hole in my pocket, so to speak. Can't wait to start putting some rounds down range. I'm going to see how it shoots. I'm going to find out what I like, find out if there's anything I don't like, and basically just have a good time with it. All right, so without any real further ado, let's take the very first shots through the HK45. Heckler & Koch HK45. I'm going to try a few rounds with shooting gloves on, sort of like a duty glove. I just want to see how the gun handles with gloves on, how easy it is to work the controls, and I think I'm going to start out double action. Well, let's stick with double action for the first shot. One of my favorite things, the 4 Fs. A fistful of 45. So I've got just over 100 rounds so far through the HK45, and obviously no failures of any kind. No failures to feed, no failures to fire, as one would expect. This gun is an extremely nice machine. This thing is very well made. It's a very soft shooter for a 45. It really handles the recoil nicely. It's a pretty full-size gun, but it's not quite as big as some others out there. It doesn't weigh as much as some of the others out there, but it handles the recoil really nice. I did, actually. I measured the double action pull to be about 10.5 pounds at the bench when I first got this thing before shooting it, and it's a very smooth double action. There's a little bit of a false catch about mid-stroke, but the more I shoot it, the less I notice that. The single action is about 5.5 pounds, or actually just about 5 pounds, I think, from my measurement. So let's take a few shots starting with double action. I'm only at about 10 yards, actually maybe even 8 yards from the target, and I was just doing some headshots, so you can't see the target. We'll get to that, but it's shooting nice tight groups just offhand. I'm anxious to put this thing on a rest and do some more structured accuracy tests. So I think I'm going to do that here shortly and see how this thing shoots with several different kinds of ammo. Going to start out with PMC bronze. I'm going to go the upper left. Okay, moving on to Freedom Munitions, upper right. Lower right, Remington UMC. Now lower left, Lawman, Spear Lawman. Somebody left 6 small targets stuck in the dirt downrange here at the berm. They're like little beer bottles or something, but they're made out of, looks like maybe balsa wood or something like that. They're kind of cute targets. They've already got a few holes in them, but since somebody left them there for me, I'm going to go ahead and tear them up with the HK45. First range day with the Heckler & Koch HK45. I've put a few hundred rounds through this today. I'll have to count up after I get back how many rounds I did put through, but I've put at least a few hundred rounds through this gun. Flawless performance. Lots of different ammo, lots of different brands, different bullet weights, different types of loads. No failures of any kind. Very smooth, very accurate. This pistol is every bit as accurate as I am. Most likely, like most pistols, it's much more accurate than I am. This is a fun gun to shoot. It's a very smooth gun. The tolerances are tight, but at the same time it feeds and functions with everything. There are some things I'm getting used to, some things that I will still have to get used to. Certainly the trigger, and that's true with pretty much any new pistol, is you need to get used to that new trigger. The double action of this gun, and this gun is clear, the double action on this particular pistol is very smooth for a double single action. Double action is about 10.5 pounds. It's a pretty smooth pull. Right about midway, there's a little bit of a false positive, but I noticed as I was shooting today, that's starting to kind of wear itself out. So that's probably the trigger mechanisms breaking in a little bit. The single action is about 5 pounds exactly. It's nice and crisp. There is some take up, about 1/4 of an inch, which is a pretty long take up. I know you can do the LEM, law enforcement modification, on the trigger, which will essentially make it a double action only with a consistent pull type of trigger. And I believe that's spec'd at somewhere in the 5.5 to 6 pound area. And I know there's a light version of that as well. That may be something to look at down the road. I don't mind double action, single action. I have a number of pistols that are double single action. Obviously, Sig Sauer comes to mind. This pistol has a nice thin grip, as I had observed on unboxing it, but shooting it, you definitely appreciate that. You really can get your hand around this gun really well when you have small hands like I do. You have a nice firm grip. I'm finding it a little hard to figure out where to place my support hand thumb because I'm a thumbs forward shooter. I don't want to ride the slide stop, but I did not experience any problem with that, and I kind of settled in, I think, to a natural position. So I think my thumb finally just came to rest here on the pivot point of the slide stop lever, and it was comfortable there, and it did not cause any kind of failures. I was afraid I was going to either lock the slide back prematurely or keep it from locking back on an empty magazine, but neither of those situations occurred. So that's going to be fine. Magazine release, obviously you have to get used to the paddle style, European style magazine release. I'm finding it a lot easier to just use my trigger finger, my index finger of my right hand, to eject the magazine than it is to modify my grip so much to bring the left hand around. Either way is fine. The safety, I got no issues with. The decocker is nice. We got this thing good and dirty. We kept it well fed today. It performed really well. And believe me, today was just the first of many, many range days for the HK45. I've already got some comparisons in mind for this gun. It's kind of obvious that, or at least to me, that the Sig Sauer P227 is absolutely a gun that has to be compared head-to-head against this one. And M&P 45 is another one that comes to mind. There's definitely a lot more to talk about. The grip is good. I didn't really have any trouble with slipping. It was warm today, but when I say warm, I mean not cold, like 70 degrees. So it wasn't a, it wasn't a 90-degree day with high humidity. On a day like that, I might, I might want a little more in terms of grip. But the grip I find to be pretty good, and I'm going to leave it alone for right now. I'm not going to add anything to that. I shot it with and without gloves, and the controls are very easy to manipulate using gloves. I had no problem with any of the controls. There's lots of room in the trigger guard for your gloved fingers, so that was not a problem. There's a little bit of airspace between the front blade and the rear notch on either side, so you do have to pay a little bit of attention to your windage as you shoot, but it also does help to, allow you to line up that tight shot. So, it's a give and take. The sight picture is easy to acquire. The 3 dots pick up really quick. That light green or yellowish color is actually, I found it to be pretty nice. You really acquire that pretty quickly on target. I'll hold it, let me see if I can do this backwards. Just with what it looks like there against a target, you can see that you pick that up pretty quick, and that's a nice sight picture. So there we are with a few hundred through it today. I'll take it home, I'll strip it down and clean it, see where if anywhere it's showing a little bit of wear from today's activities. We'll lube it up, we'll bring it back and we'll do it again.